That ordinary Australians who are really struggling can travel those sorts of distances, up to 5,000 kilometres, and there are people in the building behind me who cannot even cross the floor. But there's people who have been on, we've heard all about a lot of the hardship that's going on, and we've had a bit of trouble with the media. They don't seem to understand what that is. I would just like to put the message out there to media people who are apparently misrepresenting us, that I think that's very disrespectful to Australian people. There may not be thousands and thousands of people here, but let me assure you, there are millions, literally millions, in places that you cannot even pronounce, and they need our help. We're seeing a lot of policies come in that seem to be set out to get us. It doesn't seem to matter what you do these days, there's always a roadblock, and I don't think that's an efficient way to do things. I believe that if our current government and management team, if you like, were in private enterprise, they wouldn't be in business anymore. So I hope that at the end of today, people in Parliament who may or may not get hold of this and may or may not want to listen, I hope they go to bed tonight and they think about the people who have put an effort in to be here. And I hope they don't think, oh, it's just another protest, because it's not. The people that I'm looking at while I stand here are not the sorts that walk the streets and, rant and rave, we want. These are people who have been pushed so far, and they have just said, no thank you, we don't want to be treated like that anymore, and we were going to say to you very politely and very peacefully, please don't do that. And if a government cannot back away and say, okay, we have been told, then that is a very, very poor example for the people who think they're leading Australia. There's a lot of talk about, the way politics runs and that, and I've been approached by lots and lots of people I've even been asked what seat I would like. Well, I would like to tell you all right here that there is a seat I'm very interested in, and it's on the top of my horse, and it's called a saddle. And that's where I hope to be planting my backside for the next 30 years.
Isn't she wonderful? Please thank her. What a wonderful young lady, coming all that way.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say how pleased I am to see that the people of Australia want to make this the people's house, not just the politicians' house. And I also want to inform you that as I speak here now, the Prime Minister is about to do a press conference in the Prime Minister's courtyard. She's talking to the political insiders, and she should be here with you, talking to you. Because the first responsibility of Prime Ministers, the first responsibility of politicians is to stay in touch with the people they represent. And that is my problem. My problem is that this Prime Minister is fundamentally out of touch with the Australian people. Now, I want to say thank you to all of you for coming from all around this country to this meeting today. I particularly want to thank the people who come from very long distances, the people who come from Perth, the people who've come from Darwin, the people who've come from Cairns, and I particularly want to thank the people who've come from Port Hedland. That is a big trip. And the fact that so many of you have come so far shows that you care a very great deal about the future of our country. Our democracy will be in safe hands as long as the people of this country continue to care about it and you care about it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there are hundreds of you here. There are thousands of you who would like to be here, and there are millions of you who are sick of being ripped off by a bad government. Now, I've got to say that there are some pretty hard-bitten characters here, because I met a few of you last night. And not all of you always agree with me, and I don't always agree with everything that people put to me either. But all of us here today agree that we don't need a carbon tax and we do need an election. Ladies and gentlemen, we say no to a carbon tax because we say yes to manufacturing industry, we say yes to affordable transportation, we say yes to affordable energy and affordable power in this country. And what we don't need is for the truckies of Australia to have to pay another $500 million a year out of pockets that are emptier and emptier because of the charges and charges which are heaped upon them. You do not deserve a $500 million a year slug on your bottom line because of this carbon tax. So I want to give you this absolutely categorical assurance on behalf of the coalition I lead. We will oppose the carbon tax in opposition and we will rescind it in government. But the more of you who come out, the more of you who make your views known to your Labor or Independent Member of Parliament, the more likely we are to stop this bad tax stone dead. And the terrible thing at the moment is we have this tax, the most complex tax change in Australia's history, a tax that will just go up and up and up if it gets in and if it stays in. It's the most complex change in our history, and it's being managed by the most incompetent government in our history. If you can't trust the government to put pink bats in people's roofs without them catching fire, if you can't trust the government to build school halls without rip-off after rip-off, if you can't trust the government to keep the live cattle trade going in the face of a TV program, you can never trust the government with a tax like this. You just can't trust them. Now, ladies and gentlemen, should there be a change of government? Yes, there should. Yes, there should. And if and when there is a change of government, I cannot promise you that all of your problems will be solved. But I can promise that I will respect the Australian people, I will listen to the Australian people, and I will be straight with the Australian people. That's what we need. We need governments that listen, governments with respect, and governments that are straight. And the problem at the moment is that this country of ours is a great country. It's a great country with a lousy government, and our task is to give a great country and a great people the better government that they deserve. Thank you so very much.
Greens MP from Western Australia, Scott Ludden, I believe.
was put up against me in a radio interview, and he had some really nasty, horrible, derogative things to say. He believes we're evil and we're violent and we're horrible, and he doesn't really want to be out here, and he told me these things on the radio. And Scott, I'm standing here now. Get your ass outside, man up, and say it to my face. I've invited Scott out. I'll be nice to him. He's a bit worried about you guys, because as you can see, you know, you're absolutely raging. So I'm going to promise Scott that if he comes outside and says hello to me, comes up here on the podium, I will protect him from all the irate pensioners, mums and dads, these big tough truckies. You'll be right, mate, I'll stand in front of you. So I'm hoping I'll give him a bit of time. He's shy.